Good day. Welcome to episode number 7, lesson number 7 out of 10, beginner accordion lessons of Accordion Shop, Cape Town. My name is Stanislav Angelov. I'm your accordion teacher, accordion advisor, accordion specialist. If you have found this lesson, you either saw the previous 6 and you're just following the series, or you were just looking for accordion lessons for beginners on YouTube. If you haven't seen the previous 6 before, I highly recommend that you go back and see them and study what was in those lessons before you proceed with this one. For those of you who are enjoying these lessons, please subscribe to this channel, or you can also support me and help me improve on my equipment and have more videos for you to enjoy and to learn from. You can find a link at the bottom of this video, in the description of the video, for a site called Buy Me a Coffee. A coffee can go very far to improve my equipment. Before I proceed with the little bit of theory that we have to learn before we start playing the accordion, I would like to mention that these lessons are not designed to follow each other. When I teach my students, there will always be a couple of lessons in between each of these episodes of exercises or songs that are related to what we've learned in a lesson before I continue to the following step that we're learning. So there will be a lot of new things in this episode, so be ready. And as you remember, in previous lessons, we learned the C major scale, first with the right hand, then we added an accompaniment to that. After that, we learned the G major scale, and if you noticed, both C major and G major scale for the right hand had a very similar fingering. After the third finger was played, then we bring the first finger to the next note, and we continue like this. Today we're going to learn a new scale called F major scale. And if you remember, G major scale had something what we call the key signature, and we were talking about the hashtag, or as in music it's called sharp. In F major we also have a key signature, but this time there's a sign that doesn't look like the hashtag or the sharp. This is called a flat. And similarly, like the sharp that we had in G major was positioned where the note F would be, this flat in F major is positioned where the note B would be. So therefore it's called a B flat, which means that we're lowering the B with half a step. And we're going to use a black note for that. So as we know, we start from the note F. I'm going to make this a little bit bigger so we can see the names of the notes inside the note heads. So we start with the first finger on F and then we proceed, but now because our fourth note is a black note and there's a little rule or custom, if you want to call it, when you play a keyboard instrument, you should try to avoid to play black notes with your first or fifth finger. So therefore, when we play a scale like F major, and there are several other scales where similar things would happen, now the fingering is not going to be the usual 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, because the fourth note is the black note, we're actually going to play that note with the fourth finger, and only then we're going to move our first finger to the C, and therefore we're actually going to end the scale not on the fifth finger like we did with the C and G major, but we're going to end it with the fourth finger on the F. And then when we go back, we're going to follow the same idea. We will go down, and once we have our first finger on the C, we're going to go and put the fourth finger on the black note of the B flat, etc. until we finish the scale. And that's all the explanation that I have for now, seeing the music of F major. The following exercises will be to play the F major again in 4/4 time with accompaniment, and then in 3/4 time. Again, my advice to you is first practice this exercise many times until you're very comfortable with this new fingering and with the black note, the fourth finger being on the B flat. before you try to put it together. One more thing that is going to happen, we're going to introduce in the left hand another bass and another major chord, and there is your music for the F major scale with the accompaniment. So F bass and F major is something that we've already done with the C major scale. The C is also very familiar, and then we have another F with the F major, and then we go the button below the F, which is our B flat bass. And next to it will be the B flat major chord. And again, we're going to have a few times a little jump from B flat to C. Remember, we don't jump physically, we slide through the button in between them until we pass that button, and then we have our C. And this is what F major scale looks with the right hand. We put our first finger on the F, and because the fourth finger will be playing this black note, this is the B and this is the B flat, I always recommend to my students to keep the fourth finger ready for the B flat before you start the scale. So I'm going to do it very slowly with the right hand only. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Close. 1, 2, 3. Open. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. Open again. 1, 2, 3, 4. Close. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Close. 2, 3, 4. Please watch this several times. I'll do it one more time. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now let's look at the left hand buttons. So this is our C bass and a C major. Then we're going to go down to the F, as we have done it for the C major scale, and when we go one button further down, we get to our B flat bass and then the B flat major. Alright, and now I'm going to first play the left hand. Again, I'm reminding you, after you have practiced the right hand on its own, practice the left hand on its own, and only when each of these hands are feeling very, very comfortable and flowing nicely, you may try to play together. Okay, I'm going to start with the F major. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2. C major. Close. 1. Down to the B flat. Open. F. B flat again. Now I'm going to skip the F, go to the C. F. And now I open again. C. Skip the F. B flat. Close. F. C. F, C, and F again. And now both hands together in 4/4. 1, 2, 3, 4. This was F major scale with accompaniment in 4/4. And here is F major scale in 3 with the accompaniment. We're going to close bellows after every second note, after every second bar. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2. Close. Open. practice right hand and left hand on its own before you try to put this together, considering that the fingering also for F major scale is not very comfortable for the right hand. And here is the new thing that we're going to learn this lesson, one more. There's plenty new stuff coming up this lesson. So this is something called alternate basses in major keys. As you can see, we've got two exercises here on this page. I would like to remind you again that always these exercises which I demonstrate are available to be downloaded as a free PDF file. You just need to follow the link, the description of every video. The alternate bass, what is the alternate bass? We have, until now we always play the bass note and the major chord next to it. The button above that same bass is the alternate bass, or in other words, in the music theory, it will be called the fifth note of that chord, or the fifth note of that scale. So like when we play C with a C major, the bass note which is above the C bass is the G bass. And those of you who play piano or other instruments might have heard very often this very typical accompaniment when you have the bass note, then you've got the chord, and then you've got the fifth note of the chord, and then again the same chord. It's a very common accompaniment. So on accordion it's actually very comfortable to play that because all three buttons are right next to each other with all chords. So this is how it works with major chords. Here we've got a C bass and a C major chord, as we normally play them with the fourth finger and with the third finger. And then our second finger is going to get the button above the C bass, which is the G bass, and play that G. And then the third finger will remain on the C major chord and play that. So then I've given you to play this several times, and you can repeat this many, many times until it starts working. At first it will feel that fingers are almost like on top of each other. Try to keep the fingers on those buttons. Don't move them away from the button because it's going to be difficult to find your place. And the following exercise will be with the same pattern, but now we're going to use all the buttons that we've already learned, all the bass notes and the major chords. And we'll start from the C. After we play that pattern, we go one button up to the G. There is your D bass that we've learned last lesson. Then we're going to move up to the D with the D major, and then here we've got a new note which I forgot to mark on the music, but you will remember that this is your A bass. And once we've done the D, then we start going back to the notes that we know. We go back to the G, etc., C, and eventually after we've played the F, we're going to go one down to the B flat, which we learned earlier in today's lesson, and then go back to the F, and eventually we'll end up with the C and the C major. As you notice, now I'm starting to write these exercises without the names of the notes inside the note heads, so it is advisable that by now you should be able to recognize these notes. So let's see now what the alternate bass technique in the left hand of the accordion looks like. So this is our C bass and our C major, like we've been playing it until now. Okay, but the second finger, which we haven't used yet in the left hand, will play the button above the C. So my advice is try to get into this kind of position, so your fingers are like this almost on the buttons. Often in the beginning students will do something like this. So these two fingers now are floating in the air, and that's not good. You must try to keep them down like that, then it's much easier. Okay, I'm gonna do this exercise, which is number 23, where we only play the C major several times. C bass, C major, G bass, C major, C bass, C major, G bass, After you feel comfortable with this, what is written on the exercise, you can try the same in 3 by adding an extra chord after each bass. So it will be 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and then again. Okay, and that's about exercise 23. Practice it until it's almost like part of your body. Then we're going to go now with the same pattern up and down, and as I said, we're going to go from C to G, then we go up to the D, then we'll start going down, and we'll go to C, F, and the new B flat that we learned, but always using this alternate basis with these major chords. So there is exercise number 24. Before I start, please make sure that you always play your notes nice and short, staccato. That's what we're trying to do for the left hand notes. We're going to change bellows on every bar. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now we go up. And we go one more up. And now we're going to start going down. This is G. And down to the C, and down to the F, and now down to the new one that we learned today, B flat, and we're going up again, F, and then C. The same thing, practice this exercise many times until you feel confident with what you're doing. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this lesson, please remember to subscribe to this channel, share it with your friends who are interested in learning the accordion. Also, if you would like to support me and support this channel for producing more videos, better videos, to get better equipment, please follow the link in the description for buying me a coffee. And if you want to book a lesson directly with me, online or in person, the link will also be in the description. There will be a link for the exercises and the song that we practiced in this lesson, also in the description of this video. Thank you so much and keep practicing.